Hey, listeners, and an extra special hey, hi, and hello to all you patrons out there in Patreon world, aka the Country Club. That's what I've been calling it. Oh, come on, Chicago. I'm going to ignore those Chicago sirens so I could give a couple of shout outs. I think Ben literally just chose some names at random. So we're going to shout those people out.
We're going to name every single patron.
Okay.
Our goal is to get 3,000 patrons, and we're going to name
3,000.
all of you.
All 3,000. So we're going to start the episode off with these 8 first. What's up? Jessica, Raven, Shayla, Rebecca, M, Vanessa, Danielle T, and Danielle Castro. Special shout out to those patrons. And Ben said we're going to get through all. I think right now we have about 1,400 patrons. So we're going to keep pushing, keep listening. Just extra special reminder. Not only do we give away a fantastical, a science fictional book written by an author once a week. Ooh, nope, once
Sometimes
a month.
written by someone who's not an author.
Shut up, I'm tripping. We will be giving away this month's book. We'll be giving away is Queen of Bad Dreams by Danny Lore, which we will be discussing in a few weeks. Ben has been doing a really great job mapping out our content because I have been breastfeeding.
Yeah.
It's awesome. If you're watching this on YouTube, my nipples, tink, 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 punch that. You can punch that right there.
Oh, yeah.
Are extra tough. I look like Fembot today because I got these milk catchers in. Wiggles' grandmother is watching her in the back of the house as we record this
Shout
episode.
out to grandmas.
Shout out to grandma.
All
This is
around
Ben's
the world.
mom. Shout out to Miss Judy. But yeah, patrons, not only are we going to be just continuing to keep the sci-fi love going, you know, this is a family show now. So we're going to also keep updating y'all with extra special exclusive content. And Ben had this great idea where I should just go back and find every video that ever got me a community guideline on TikTok, and I should just post those in the Patreon. So slowly but surely I'll start posting those once a week, and you can sort of, maybe we'll debate in the Patreon like what got me kicked off of TikTok this week. But yeah, that's all for the Patreon. Be sure to just keep joining. Again, I saw somebody on the Patreon join for 78 cents a month, okay?
You can do that.
And guess what? That person is helping the Wallen family, okay? So you can join for $1, $2, $5, or you heard it, 78 cents a month. Any contribution is a helpful contribution. Now let's get started with the show. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Side under the Believe Podcast Network. It's a podcast about Black science fiction and fantasy and staying on the same page as a family. Could you please sit up and act like we do in a show?
Sorry.
Dang. Put a pillow behind your back. Today for episode 84, we will be reviewing the second installment of The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. Those stories were originally written by Walter Mosley. The show is starring...
It's a novel. It was a novel written by him, not stories.
Okay, well,
It's a
why
single
don't you
novel.
finish what I was going to say then? Go ahead.
I was just correcting you. Also, they're not like installments. There was just one limited series. We
made them installment. Right.
We invented the installments.
Maybe I like the word installment. Damn.
Okay. But it gives the impression that they made the installment.
You know what?
No,
Sit back.
We took.
I should have told you to put that pillow there. Sit back again. So
Also,
I can finish the top of the show.
I wanted to watch
Walter
the whole
Mosley.
show in completion. I hate breaking up shows to discuss them.
Once again, you don't have to nurse Wiggles every 2 hours, so it is very hard for me to sit and watch 6 episodes straight.
I did Nurse Wiggles
You
the
what?
night shift. I do the night shift.
Oh yeah, talk to people about.
Oh God, it's the fucking
We're
worst.
gonna keep this short and sweet because I know we're
I
parents now,
hate
and
the
what
night
parents
shift.
do is talk about their kid nonstop. So go ahead.
You know, Amber said, she's like, don't drink anything bubbly. I'm like, fuck that. So I just went and got like a huge, double IPA from Half Acre, which is right near us, right down the street. You can walk to it. So,
And I have a little probiotic here, but here's the thing, Ben, because you have a tendency to clear your throat and do all your little right in the mic.
What are we talking about?
Exactly. That's why I told you not to do. But you know what? You're a grown man. You're gonna do what you want to do.
You know,
Talk
it's
to
like
the people
that,
about the night shift. You didn't finish telling them about the night shift.
Oh, well, I just want to say one more thing. There's this band called Superorganism, and they're fantastic, but they do all this like slurping sound. So in their concerts, they have like straws that they slurp and put in the music, or like pop open soda cans. Anyway, that's all I had to say. like sort of progressive kind of music. So that's what I'm doing. I'm like putting podcast progressive music when I
Stop. It's nasty though. I mean, some people like that ASMR with by the mouth and stuff, but
you
not a
like it
fan.
from me.
No, I don't. I actually don't. Why you trying
You
to
like
be
when I
funny?
kiss you?
Talk about the night shift.
Oh yeah, the night shift. Yes, the night shift.
Why do you hate
last
it?
night,
What is it?
It's tiring. I mean, I'm tired as fuck, and then I wake up at 6 a.m. and I have started to feel really motivated to work for you.
Wait, people don't even know what night shift you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Be specific.
So when the baby cries, I get up and feed her
In the night.
in the night.
So what happens is I nurse her, I breastfeed her all
day. Yep.
I catch milk from the breastfeeds.
14 hours, 16 hours. Yep.
And then you feed her the milk at night.
7 to 8 hours.
And just to be clear, you ain't been taking the night shift every night. You took the night shift
Yeah.
last night.
I did. I mean, I've been doing it more so than not.
Wiggles likes you better at night.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's do a quick check-in. That was a quick check-in, but what was
How was
yesterday,
your
Ben?
first Mother's Day, Amber? Did I do well?
My first Mother's Day has been great so far, and I say that because there's another installment coming.
Yeah.
You know, I like the word
Installments.
installment. So Mother's Day for me, my very first one, Ben made extra special thanks to y'all in the Patreon.
Yeah. No, for real though. Yeah.
So it was in 3 installments. So you're going to tell me in a second what the patrons told you to do. So installment 1 was a lovely dinner at a Mediterranean restaurant called Avec. If you're ever in Chicago, AVEC, please go check out Avec. Amazing Mediterranean food.
I did something very Ben of me, which was there's 2 locations.
Oh, of course.
I made the reservation for the one in River North, but of course we drove to the one in West Loop. So 2 different parts of the town that I fucked up on. It was just so classic of me. And they're like, oh, we'll still fit you in.
It wouldn't be you if it wasn't some goofy about it. And then, so that was the first installment. The second installment today, you sent me to one of my favorite spas in Chicago. And I only go to the spa for big things. Like the last time I went to Alyu is maybe how it's pronounced. It's spelled like ALLYU spa. The last time I went there, I was getting a facial the week of my wedding. So the fact that you made an appointment for myself and your mother, we had a really good time at the spa today. They just treated us like royalty. And then the third installment.
Well, and it's so expensive. Like with that money, I probably could afford it to like get my tubes tied. It was so expensive.
Well, you would get a vasectomy, right? You would get your shit cut.
It's the same thing.
Tied and cut. Those are 2 different actions.
I know, but the results are the same. You can't have any more kids.
I heard vasectomies are reversible, though.
Yeah.
So it's not technically the same thing.
Can you untie your tubes?
I don't think you can. Or maybe it's the success rate is like, you can probably untie them, but will the egg go through them?
I feel like there's podcasts that actually know about this stuff, and this is not the one.
Well, I was about to move on to the third installment.
Oh, yeah. Third installment is actually the patrons gave me this idea. They're like, oh.
See, you just did it. Go ahead. Keep going. I love you.
The third one is I hired someone to clean. So that was cool. Like someone and clean and organize. But I also, in very Ben-esque, I also made it the same day in which I have to have a bone graft for my tooth. So I'm going to be like out of commission and like in so much pain. So definitely look forward to that. Fucking hate the dentist.
Well, that person was a part of our declutter experience, which is amazing. So
and she was really helpful.
She's coming tomorrow to deep clean for 4 hours. So I'm very excited. I just, both of our mothers have been helping us with the babe, but there's something different about organizing and deep cleaning. So I'm just very grateful to the patrons and to you for booking that experience.
And also this person, I asked them about I was like, hey, can you help me buy baby safe cleaning supplies? And she was like really good on when she came over to help us reorganize. Sort of think of like the home room edit, like the Netflix show. This is what these people do, and they're fantastic. But they teach you all these like little shortcuts and stuff of maintaining your house because, as cluttery as like a pig and as sloppy as a
You've
man.
been throwing stuff away lately that we actually use. I'm like, I literally wore those PJs yesterday. Why are you tossing them?
Yeah. I'm just feeling like the need to get rid of my own skin.
Oh, why?
Just
You're
to clear out everything. I want
Yeah.
nothing left. I want to be able to just walk out of a house and realize that I got everything I need with me.
Yeah, and those 20 library books over there.
Well, I'm working through them, so.
And, well, today you also decided that you were going to go buy a new nursing chair for the nursery,
did.
which I'm not even requesting. I like to nurse from the couch or the bed.
It's less of a nursing chair, more of a chair to get away from my family when I need some alone time to read.
Yeah, did you purchase that chair?
I
Because,
did.
I wasn't a part of that
I did,
decision.
which patrons sound off. Is it appropriate to buy furniture without like another person's input? So I
Another person. Did you just call me another person?
Yeah, like without your roommate's input.
Your roommate.
Yeah, you're my roommate and my boss and my partner, my domestic partner, and the mother of my child.
Right, I'm a couple of things
Yeah,
more
but
than your roommate.
roommate
You're
is
having
one of
sex
them.
with your roommate.
Yes,
you
and
had
my
a baby
boss.
with your roommate, and you're sleeping with your boss.
Yes, you're my boss too.
We'd love to see it. This show, I promise y'all, is about some incredible things, namely Black science fiction and fantasy, which we typically get to at this point, the second half of our show. But I know we ask y'all to do lots of things all the time, right? We are very needy whores.
Yeah.
So the first thing you do, what'd you do? You join the Patreon. We love to see it. But maybe you say, you know what, Amber, I can't help you with that. You know what, Ben, I love y'all, but I ain't got it right now. And that's okay, beloved. But what can they get, Ben?
They can write a podcast review.
Where can they write it, Ben?
They could write it at Apple Podcasts, the Sci-Fi Sci, and we have it all inside the links and all that stuff,
And so what we're going to do is read, 2 reviews that we got. Ben, something tells me that we read these 2 last week.
Did we?
We did.
Did we really?
I vividly remember reading these 2 last week because I remember Tananarive Dew and Roses being here. All right, hold, please. We're going to find another Apple Pod. You know what? I'm not even pausing it. Let me go. This is the wrong computer for this. Ben, stall. Stall, Ben. This is a show.
I got it.
Just stall, Ben. You doing great. Stall. Because I know we got some reviews. See, I'm looking at new reviews right here. Okay, this one, great. I got one. Here's one from Francesca. Great podcast. Found out about you guys through Instagram and saw you had a podcast. I've been looking for something to listen to while I work, and I listened to the most recent episode 83. I loved it immediately, and I love y'all's dynamic. Everything you discussed was enlightening, and it's nice to hear people talk about different issues, especially those revolving around race, without shying away from certain topics that make some people uncomfortable. I know for sure I'll listen to the rest, and I hope you continue to enjoy what you do. Oh, Francesca.
That was really
Thank
sweet.
you. Not only was that really nice, it was recent. See, thankfully we weren't embarrassed and didn't have any podcast ratings in the queue. Here's another one from Nick Lowe 5. This is amazing. I first found out about Amber and Ben on TikTok. I was a recent transplant to Chicago in August 2020. Oh, welcome to the city. And watching them felt like I had friends in the city. You are our friends. I've always been into sci-fi and purposely went out of my way to read Black and brown authors because of the level of depth I was searching for within these stories. Hearing Amber's thoughts about entering into the sci-fi genre resonated with me because of the lack of representation. You guys are so entertaining, funny, and vulnerable. And Ben has a joke every now and then as well. I want to see y'all grow. Keep up the amazing work. Listen, you heard it here first, folks. The people love us.
That's
Even though sometimes we don't update our outlines. It's enduring, though. Because you know what? We can't keep cutting out mistakes. People make mistakes, man.
Yeah, that's part of
mistakes.
The appeal. We are a mistake. We're just one big apology.
One big apology.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not an apology, but maybe I'm a mistake, but maybe you're an apology.
What? Sure.
One of my favorite quotes from Tiffany Pollard, from Flavor Flav, New York. aka New York. I think they were trying to get her to apologize about something, and she was like, "I don't apologize because I don't make mistakes." It was
what an egotistical person. I can't stand people who are not willing to admit that they make mistakes and fuck up.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have been as successful as she is if she just apologized and rolled over. You know what I'm saying?
Also, we've talked about this before, that when I admit I make a mistake, I sort of am seen as like vulnerable, or I'm seen as someone who is, flexible. But when a black woman admits that they make a mistake, they're seen as incompetent and as seen as, less than, or seen as unworthy. And so where I make a mistake and I'm seen as humble if I can admit it. So there's also this gendered, racist aspect going on.
Right. So is it her ego, or is it that?
I think both. Like they don't have to be mutually exclusive, right?
Do I apologize well when I make mistakes, man?
I mean, sometimes.
Role play me apologizing for something I did.
Well, earlier this week, I had to call you out some stuff, and you sort of...
You had to call me out?
Yeah, I did. And
what'd you call me out about?
I forgot, because it's forgive and forget with me. But you felt as if that you were like this great grand mistake because I called you out. I'm like, no. Like, we all make mistakes. I just needed to like call you out.
What was the mistake, Ben?
I honestly don't remember.
Because it didn't happen.
Okay, maybe. I honestly forgot. But I remember the feeling you had, and you're like, you felt like, I think you asked the question, like, do you not like me as a partner? I was like, what? Like, no, I'm just calling you out because you did something stupid.
I don't remember any of that happening.
Yeah, I mean, you were like wallowing in the bed and like watching this challenge.
I got pregnancy hormones going. I've been crying all week.
Yeah, it's true.
I thought we were pregnant. You supposed to be crying next to me. I didn't cry today yet. The day is young though. And I was, we've been looking back through the labor footage, so I thought I was going to cry, and I didn't.
I thought you were going to cry too.
Well, you did this thing where I'm in the room nursing. I'm in the room. Let me talk to the audience, right? On YouTube and TikTok. I'm in the room nursing. And have you ever been in one room and then heard yourself in another room, which I get, sometimes we'll be replaying content. So I am hearing myself screaming loudly in another room while I'm in one room. And so I was like, what? Why? And I was like, oh my gosh, Ben's probably looking through that labor footage where I was just wailing for hours and on end. But we actually found some funny footage, which we posted in the Patreon. So give that a whirl when you can.
So one of my projects as being your employee is that I have to go through footage for the documentary that we raised for Kickstarter and then send this footage to our editor and sort of storyboard some of the content that we're going to do. We're going to create a whole narrative. And then the other thing is like I'm posting songs or funny things on Patreon and then occasionally putting a TikTok. So I should have had headphones on when I was sort of editing and going through some of the footage. So I apologize for that.
No, it's not a big deal. I was taken aback for a second, but then I was like, I would like to look at these with you. And it was actually really nice.
It was endearing.
And then it made me want to share it. Lastly, before we legit talk about the show, last week, what did we talk about, Ben?
We talked about tattoos on babies.
Okay, on 16-year-olds and the like.
Tattoos.
Face tats, shawty. And we asked the patrons if someone is a 16-year-old and they come home. If you have a 16-year-old who wants to come home and get a face tattoo, what is your response? Now, we had a lot of people vote like, absolutely not. They can get it somewhere else, but not the face. But we did have some people say like, if it's their body, like maybe let them decide. So I wanted to pull these two responses that I really enjoyed. This one's from Ashley. Ashley says, I definitely would want to support them to express their autonomy, but I think a face tattoo is a big decision and that will require a lot of consideration, I would think. But maybe there's some kind of small, relatively innocuous version of a face tattoo I could entertain. I can't really imagine it myself, but maybe it exists. I don't know. And then Aqua for Short writes, yes, I would, like as in let them get this, but they would have to do an essay on what this tattoo meant to them and also the challenges they could face with this tattoo?
Oh, that's a good answer. I like that.
Did you ever have to write a paper about something growing up?
About why I wanted this or that type of thing.
Or just like, did you ever have to basically have like a homework assignment?
Yeah.
But you're in your home. I mean, well, you were homeschooled, but.
Yeah. So I remember one time I wanted a Pokemon shirt and there was like the words on it that said like, you got the power. And my dad was unsure if I should get it because he's like, only Jesus Christ has the power. And so I sort of explained,
like
your mom, no, it's a different kind of power. It's like Pokemon power. It's not talking about spiritual power.
I feel like your mom's at the back like, what was said about my man?
Anyway, so had to do stuff like that.
Did you get the shirt?
Yeah, I ended up getting the shirt. Yeah, it was like the biggest shirt. I wore that shirt until there was like holes in it. I loved it.
I'm sure you did.
I loved it so much.
I remember having to do things like that as a repercussion of something else. Like, I did something wrong. Now I need to write like a 5-paragraph essay atoning for the thing I did wrong. But, I'm not sure. I think I've never wanted something as bad as a face tattoo. I never wanted something that high stakes where my mom would need me to do that. But she was definitely write a full paragraph essay if y'all trying to go to the pool this summer. Dang. Like the community pool. Like she didn't even own the pool. It was just her like taking us up to the pool. I know, right? Especially because some summers what the community pool would do is they would accept all A's if you for free entry, right? So if Aaron or somebody didn't have all A's, I had all A's, and Aaron might have had a couple B's or so. She would be like, "You need to write a paper because I'm gonna have to pay the 50 cents or whatever for you to get in." But that's good parenting, baby.
I'm trying to remember. I'm remembering now why we had this conversation, but part of it having to do with Ptolemy Gray and his decision to basically sell his body to science for money. Mm-hmm. And also this idea of having autonomy over your body to the point in which if you are suffering enough, you have the right to kill yourself.
Yes.
Right.
It started there. We started
we started there and we got to tattoos. So like Alzheimer's, assisted suicide, tattooing your face.
Right. Thank you for making that connection.
Yep.
You want to take a quick break before we get into episodes 4 through 6?
Yep.
Before we continue with the show, I wanted to talk a little bit about NOOM. NOOM uses the latest in behavioral science to empower people to take control of their health for good through a combination of psychology, technology, and human coaching on their platform to help millions of users meet their personal health and wellness goals. A lot of people face pressures to change themselves to fit other people's expectations, and the more freeing solution is to find things that work for you. NOOM understands that everyone's weight loss journey is unique, and what works for someone else doesn't mean it'll work for you. That's why NOOM's approach adapts to your lifestyle. It's flexible and it focuses on progress, not perfection, allowing you to work toward your goals at a pace that's comfortable for you. NOOM Weight makes it easy to start your weight loss journey and stay on track with personalized lessons that help you gain confidence and practical knowledge, one-on-one coaching, and a cognitive behavioral approach that teaches you how to be mindful of your habits. 75% of NOOM weight users finish the program, and more than 60% of users that engage with the program kept the weight off for a year or more. So start building better habits for healthier long-term results. Sign up for your trial at noom.com/believe. Again, that's Noom, NOOM.com/believe. All right, and we're back.
Amber took a poop.
Yeah.
You were taking that medication for the pooping, right?
Could you please?
All right, so Ptolemy Gray, the last 3 episodes, the 4th episode sort of stops where Ptolemy, who's been suffering from Alzheimer's, has now fully started taking the medication, and he's starting to remember all these things from his past. And one of the things he remembers is that his father figure gave him this like crazy, incredible treasure, and now he's remembered where he's placed it. Mm-hmm. And that treasure are these doubloons, like these old coins. It's very, very beautiful. And sort of like with all of our shows, we try
and valuable.
And
that
valuable,
should
like
be the number one
$50,000 for one of them.
And some of them millions of dollars.
And so he has a bunch of these kinds of coins, and some of them worth up to like $17.1 million. So sort of like everything we discuss, you don't have to watch the show or read the book to sort of understand. So we're going to sort of talk about this in sort of a larger structure. We will have spoilers with everything. But yeah, let's just start with our first impressions of the second half, because I thought it was way better. I think Samuel L. Jackson showed his chops as almost a playwright or a theater actor.
Mm-hmm.
Like at one point, the structure of this is like a Greek tragedy.
Yeah.
I started to realize, even to the point where Ptolemy is having these flashbacks and the people who are talking to him are essentially the chorus of a tragedy, of a Greek tragedy.
Mm-hmm. We are the muses.
Yeah, sort of. And so for those who don't know what a chorus...
of the arts,
yes,
and proclaimers of heroes. I think if I just say that, they know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so let me nerd out a little bit. In Greek theater, you had the chorus standing off to the side giving commentary. And so a great common example of that is the Muses and Hercules. They are the chorus, but it's a very official term.
Gladiator.
Hercules.
Oh, took it low there. Okay.
Yes,
yeah, that was a decision that was just made. Go ahead, keep
the
going.
The other thing about Greek tragedies as well is this whole idea about fate, right? And there's this fantastic line where Ptolemy is having this conversation about how we are all inside this stream and we just go where the stream takes us. And it's very clear, right, that Ptolemy knows discovers pretty early who kills his nephew, right? And we know that Ptolemy is going to kill the murderer of his nephew. And it's so clear. There's not a lot of mystery to it, but the way they show it and the way he sort of internalizes that decision and the way he sort of brings Robin into this relationship to take over all his money is so beautifully done, right? There's not as much mystery as I thought there was going to be, but the acting and the relationship between Robin and Ptolemy with his past, I found way more compelling than any mystery.
I agree. They did a great job building the suspense so that we're not worried about like the what, but the how. When it came to, it's like, okay, well, we know he's going to get murdered, but how is Ptolemy going to pull this off? Is this going to be a murder-suicide? I think was a big question on all of our minds because, in 4 weeks, he's going to be worse off than better off. So is he going to decide like, am I taking this life? It was just, it was two lives or one.
Kill himself.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking the whole time, right?
No, yeah, exactly. I think that's something that they definitely wanted us to consider. I think that this whole idea of revenge is a big part of the final couple of episodes. And what do you do to go through revenge? Oh, for sure. One of the things I loved is how memory works. Again, this is so much about memory and what memories are real, what memories are not real. And sort of a running memory is that Ptolemy keeps on remembering his little girlfriend, Maud, burning up in a fire. But then he says, I actually went and saved her, and she didn't burn up in a fire. And you're not really sure, did she burn in the fire or did she not burn in the fire?
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember that? Like he shares to Robin, oh, my friend Maud, I went and saved her.
Yeah, I think they are playing with this. Not only is he losing memory, but he's misremembering things. And I think going back to you saying this is a story of revenge and things like that, I agree with that, but there's another level where I think this is more of a story of like what happens, what does it mean to have nothing to lose?
Yeah, when you're like, and he says that at one point. He says that to the guy who murdered his nephew. He's like, I'm an old man. I have nothing to lose.
It really feels like it's less about revenge and more about, it's like I can right these wrongs because once I lose my memory, I don't really have anything else. So let me go ahead and assign all of my riches to people that actually care about me, like legitimately good people. And it's so interesting that our memory is that valuable. And once we lose it, it's like, I really don't care about what happens to me after this. There's a fog of that in the story as well.
So one of my favorite short stories by Ted Chiang, it's called The Truth of Fact, The Truth of Feelings. And when I started reading it to you, and essentially it's about this technology 30 years in the future that records every waking moment of your life. Mm-hmm. And then there's a program that you can download that says, hey, recall the time, I recorded a podcast with Amber on Ptolemy Gray.
It's called Alexa.
It's called Alexa. She can do that. And so you can go back, but, in classic Ted Chiang kind of way, he sort of extrapolates these like big questions from this very individual story. And spoiler alert for this story, basically this father misremembers this intense fight that he has with his daughter because, their family is split because this man's wife leaves them to go travel the world. And he remembers his daughter saying to him, you're the reason why mom left. And then he gets this new technology, goes back, remembers, and sees it playing in his mind. But actually what happened is he told his daughter, you're the reason why my wife left me.
When he remembered it.
Yeah, but he didn't know when he played the memory back. He remembered it in a different way. And that is how memory works. And this show does a beautiful job showing how confusing our memories can be. Not only for people suffering from Alzheimer's, but really
when people have ideas and then those ideas might become lucrative and then later they think it was their idea. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, absolutely.
Because I feel like sometimes that happens with us. I'll share an idea with you about something and then it'll pop off. And then you'll be like, remember when I had this idea for this podcast? And I'm like, oh, that was your idea?
Right. Well, that's what Ted Chiang is getting to, is that we do this as people without Alzheimer's, right? And that's what I think Walter Mosley is also getting to, because
we do,
right? Who is it? His niece, Ptolemy's niece, is remembering that she took care of Ptolemy, but in actuality, she didn't take care of Ptolemy, right? She left him to clutter everything, right? There's this confusion of memory and responsibility,
right?
That is,
it's like, I thought I paid that parking ticket, I didn't, right?
I feel like this has become more about me and less about Ptolemy.
I'm not talking about anybody specifically. Ben, don't you think sometimes you feel like you remember doing things that you didn't?
So the other thing that this show explores is like, how do you deal with schisms in families?
I'm sorry?
Schisms, splits within families. When there's big
almost
problems.
Choked on that word now.
Schisms.
Spell it.
Schism. SCHISM.
Use it in a sentence.
Yeah, the schism between the East and West Church created the Eastern Orthodoxy movement, and then the Western, Catholic.
How did that help? Define the damn word. Then.
Yeah, it's like a split. It's like when we have a schism every fucking week.
Okay, that was a better sentence to use it in. I get it now.
Continue. It's a fundamental split on a theological or a philosophical mindset.
We have one of those every week?
Every week.
Okay.
We are splitting it at the seams.
Continue.
Which is why we have therapy on Thursday.
We do.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I didn't know we were going to be discussing psychological and theological schisms in our marriage, but add it to the list, I suppose. I thought we were going to be discussing like how to be new great parents, shit like that. But
absolutely, and making sure we get on the same page.
To the list. Also, this is a quick plug. Everybody go get therapy. It's great. We really enjoy premarital therapy, and now we're going to. Nothing's wrong.
Post-marital.
Nothing's wrong. Everything's horrible right now, so we're just.
Well, that's the thing. Is like when you're feeling good, that's when you should go to therapy.
I agree.
If you go to therapy when things are not doing well, you've waited too fucking long.
Yeah, we're really going to go in there and talk about how Ben's going to cope, not being with the queen for the next 6 weeks, because that's hard. I'm a mess down there, so.
Oh, but I am with the queen.
You are with the queen.
I'm with you.
You are with me.
But I'm not with the queen of the pussy. I'm not with Queen Pussy. I'm not. Okay.
I'm
My
just
mother's
kidding.
in the other room.
And she's gonna be like, "What was
Speaking,
y'all's podcast about?"
one
I
of the
heard Queen
themes,
Pussy.
one of the themes they explore is here relationships with older men and younger women.
Oof.
Because I am an older man, you are a younger woman.
You are a ripe 32,
and you're ripe 31.
Sensible 31.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
that cringy scene. There's a really cringy scene here.
Yes,
that really
talk about that,
fits.
and then I'll talk about one of my earliest boyfriends and how he was much older than me.
Oh, really? How much older?
Well, not much. So he was 3 years older than me, but I was 15 and he was 18.
Yeah, that's
So you
rape.
see how that's cringy?
Yeah, it's rape.
Well, we didn't have sex.
But it would have been.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. So let that marinate with the people.
So there's this whole, like, okay, Robin is this young woman. She's like 18, and she's come in to take care
Maybe
of
even
Ptolemy.
17.
I think she's 17, and she's sort of sent there by Ptolemy's niece, because Ptolemy's niece doesn't want to take care of him, essentially.
Who was ironically named Nisi.
Nisi. And eventually Nisi, once Ptolemy is completely unable to make sense of the world, she fights to get Ptolemy's wealth, and it becomes this whole thing. Anyway,
Tries to get social services to take care of him.
Not like it is interesting to see that. Not as compelling though, is that this very strange relationship between Robin and Ptolemy, because Robin at one point says, if you were younger, Ptolemy, and I was older, we could have been together. And you're sort of like, oh, but
it was a weird moment for everybody.
It was, but I think it felt
like something a young child would say.
Yeah, it felt in character for what Robin would say. And Ptolemy does end up leaving all his fortune to Robin as the caretaker. And, Ptolemy's family fights this, right? And,
up until that point, it did feel very like, this is my uncle, this is my grandpa,
Yeah,
this is a father figure I never
uncle.
had. Right. And then when she said that, I think Ben and I both were like, oh, no.
Well, and I think it brings up this point that some
realistic.
people, think is that with any relationship between someone of the opposite sex, there is sexual tension. And I think the argument could be made that between any relationship with anyone, because we know sexuality is an entire, spectrum, there is sexual tension. And I'm talking about, the straightest of the straight bros who slap each other's butts in the locker rooms. There's a level of sexual tension there, that any relationship, anywhere, there's sexual tension of some sort,
That is a bold statement.
Yeah,
when we're talking
I know,
about like incest and everything.
Incest and all of it, but I think it's something to consider if you're human and you're trying to get to the matter of like what it means to be human. Anyway, I think maybe this story is exploring that a little bit.
Yeah. So it was realistic, but it was definitely off-putting when it happened. So have you ever dated an older woman?
Yeah, I dated someone
a significantly younger woman.
I dated someone a year older than me.
Sorry.
And then when I was 23, I dated someone who was 20.
Ooh,
yeah.
Scandalous.
Scandalous, right?
Why were you into younger women? How do you respond to being with younger women and girls?
And girls, I don't know if I would say girls.
Answer the question.
He's
backpedaling, Your Honor.
I did make out with an older man who was like 20 years older than me.
20 years, you're a senior.
Yeah.
Well, how old were you?
In my 20s.
Someone in your 40s. It's not illegal.
It's not. No. I think it's also like in
40,
gay culture, it's a little bit different.
Honestly, also like, I don't know, 40 is, I'm closer to 40 than I'm to 20 now. So 40 isn't this like scary person in the closet or like, I didn't mean to say in the closet because they're gay. I meant like, just like an older like person. I know that was horribly timed. Isn't like the boogeyman is what I meant to say. Like Monsters Inc. Like a 40-year-old is like a pretty young thing at this point. So it's, I don't know. I don't think 20 and 40 is that bad.
No, it's
Was it
not.
a good kiss? Was it memorable?
I mean, I remember it, so...
Yeah. What was his name? Say his name.
That I don't
Say
remember.
his name
that
on
I
this
actually
show.
don't remember, and it doesn't matter. So
true. So, like I was saying,
I remember where it was. It was at the Granville Anvil.
Oh, you think he's still there waiting for you?
He's probably still drinking.
Cause you got some nice kisses.
I do, yeah. Mostly, I like do this fish thing with my mouth.
Oh, okay. Like I said, when I was a freshman in high school, for whatever reason, I thought it would be a cool idea to date the senior. Obviously, it was all his idea. He was probably, saw me come in orientation, was like, that'll be easy, right?
Was it?
It was easy to like woo me and write me letters and buy me flowers. He bought me tons of flowers and things like that, but we never had sex. And he was definitely cheating on me the entire time because this girl, her name was Keandra. She was constantly like, he wants me. He was eating my pussy 2 weeks ago. And, I'm 15, so I was like, what does that even mean? I don't know.
You didn't realize that until you met me, right?
Not true. I didn't realize it could be good until I met you.
Oh.
That was nice, right?
I didn't need that for my fragile ego.
But I remember thinking, like, is that something I should be mad about? Like, what is he? Well, because the word eating is so aggressive for, like, cunnilingus, I was like, what is being eaten on a woman's body? I remember thinking about that when I was just, like, a freshman in a class. I was like, should they be eating parts of me? And then later, don't look at me like that. But, because, like, why is it called that? Like, because it made sense to me when somebody's like,
it's like chomping.
Sucking on a dick. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like, it is, your poor mother who's in the back of the house, like, what is happening up there? Sucking on a penis is the actual act. You know what I'm saying? So eating a vagina
doesn't script a little bit. What responsibility do you feel for the Black community?
Wait.
If any.
What responsibility do I feel for the Black community?
Yeah, so a big theme of this is Ptolemy.
Right. Yeah.
With all this treasure, his father figure, Coy Dog, says, like, you need to use this treasure to support the Black community. And this whole idea of, like, using your wealth to raise up the Black community. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can cunnilingus be used to raise up a community?
I think, yeah. if done with skill and intent, yes, anything. As much as we all try to, as much as everybody seeks to be seen as an individual with tons of different things, myself included, it's like, as a Black person, I wake up Black every single day, so there is this like inherent presence and mantra and responsibility that you feel to do something, well, for me anyway, and the way I was raised, to do something productive that will later contribute to the Black community. Obviously, every day I wake up married to you is a step in the wrong direction, but I have, just like in general thinking about the way that I interact with people and give advice to people, and even the way I love myself and allow myself to experience pleasure and new things, I think is helping the Black community move forward. And I don't know.
Damn.
Right?
Yeah. I think that's an excellent note to end on.
Me freely talking about cunnilingus when, like, I don't know, Black women have been, like, we as young girls, like I said last week, we're seen as like super promiscuous. So then we go like the full other end of the spectrum where we're like, I don't do any of that. I don't masturbate. I don't talk about it. I keep it all to myself. And then now I'm sort of like third waving it. Now I'm feeling a lot more freedom in talking to people about like different sex toys and wanting different. I was just talking to somebody the other day about like, what new sex toys are you trying out? Which is a conversation I feel like I never would have had with another Black woman like 20 years ago. So I hope we're all trying to play our parts, but.
And it's never too late too. to it, and that's,
of course,
I think that's what this show gets to.
Yes.
Is that Ptolemy, at one point we discover that he had a daughter who he treated terribly.
Yes.
And now he gets his second chance with this new therapy that reverses his Alzheimer's, momentarily. He is able to make amends, and not everyone gets that. And he really sees this as an opportunity, in this case, for him to raise up and support this young black woman, Robin.
Yeah.
And that's what the story is about, right?
And it's just like, this overwhelming sense. I love that the story was also set in Atlanta, which is very communal and very, Atlanta's very much in many ways like a black Mecca. So I think just like an inherent part of black culture is community. And like even here in Chicago, where we don't really have a lot of family, like there are tons of black women I can lean on for support, and lots of other amazing moms and women as well. But just this inherent sense of like, if I need a babysitter, I know 15 black girls I can call right now that will help me with Wild, and I would do the same for them. So there's like a responsibility that I'm proud to be a part of this fabric or something. And I feel like, not to try to like rope you into that, but I feel like you seek out those communities in different ways, not like just the black community, but like your sci-fi community. Like you are the person that, like, hearing you say something like, I feel like science fiction is going to change the world is like, what? And now that I'm committed to doing this podcast with you, I'm like, oh, I think I know what he's talking about now,
Yeah. Like, for example, what we're going to cover next week, basically, we're reading a short story collection, very short story collection, but in it is this very bizarre experience that deals with the Middle Passage and deals with the transatlantic slave trade. That is, I think, like, we were both immediately pulled into this story.
This story is so good.
But I think, again, coming back to the power of science fiction, and what I love about this, the last days of Ptolemy Gray, is that it's science fiction. There is no cure for Alzheimer's.
Right.
But when there is, these are the questions it's going to bring up.
Yeah.
The last days of Ptolemy Gray is a preparation of what's going to happen when someone who's suffering from dementia can, receive their memory back. Like, I mean, come on. That's like, that is science fiction. That is, and that's the beauty of it. And it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's a level of our phones doing stuff like that already. Just like remembering our schedules or typing in. I mean, it's more probably like mind control, but your phone remembers even sort of like certain words you use frequently on autocorrect. You know what I'm saying? My mom was telling me about how that got one of her white coworkers in trouble at work because she like accidentally typed the N-word to like a big group or whatever. My mom was like, yeah, but doesn't autocorrect fill like, in the words that you've been using? Yeah. Right. You know what I'm saying?
She probably used it.
Right. Nah, she did. But just things like that, it's going to be like, as our memory starts to fade, our phones are going to do that little like Facebook memory popping up and showing old words and phrases and whatever. Whereas like, Ptolemy has to sort of dig deep down. But if my memory started to fade, like, God forbid, think about how much footage you would have to show me like every single day, and how one day that's just going to be like, you can upload this here when your memory goes. Yeah. Like that's really close to being made, right?
Yes.
Needle in a time stack vibes.
Yeah. Yes and no. I don't know. I honestly don't know, because you can show someone a picture or an image, but that may or may not jar their memory, right? So I don't know. Yeah. I don't know enough about Alzheimer's to sort of explore that question, but it is a lingering question that I do have. How much can our technology now support us in memory retainment or addressing Alzheimer's? One thing I do know is that playing certain kinds of video games, open world video games, or doing mathematics or doing crossword puzzles, that those kinds of things can help with memory. But like role playing, which is a sort of speculative activity, can help with memory retainment, like acting and playing video games, which I find absolutely fascinating.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I could see like brain teasers and word puzzles and things like that, helping with memory, but I didn't know about the video games. What you looking up?
I'm typing video games and Alzheimer's. I'm seeing what hits.
While I do what? The show goes on, party people.
So new research, this is from UCFS, suggests that time spent in virtual reality through a video game could help older people restore their memory into better shape. Yeah, I remember a little
Better shape.
Yeah. So this is...
They're treading lightly with that.
Yeah. University of California, San Francisco. I remember learning about this and being like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever, because Terry Pratchett, who, unfortunately passed due to, dementia, Alzheimer's, he played a lot of Skyrim. So, yeah.
Keep that link open so I can drop it in the show notes.
Absolutely. I remember I read this a while ago. But yeah, it's time to, what do you say, Amber? It's time to...
You know what, Ben? I think it is time for us to go love on Wiggles. Ooh,
yeah.
Warp
up the show.
I will, but I gave her a bath while you were out today, and she was screaming bloody murder. Yeah. They could hear her ass in Schaumburg. I was like, the water's warm.
Schaumburg, for those not from Chicago, is like a wealthy white suburban place.
A suburb. That's what they call a suburban place.
Oh. Right.
I think they understood. They could hear her. She was screaming for her life. So I'll say, patrons, as we close, if you have any tips for bathing newborns where they're not screaming like they're being killed, please drop those. That's going to be our patrons have a point. It has nothing to do with the content. That's just a little something for me. With that being said, Ben, why don't you warp up the show?
Well, y'all, thank you for listening to another episode of the Sci-Fi Sci. Up next, we'll be discussing...
No, that's my part.
Oh.
Your part is the reason why or why not to watch Ptolemy Gray. You be stealing my stuff.
Watch The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. It's fantastic. It really... And it will ask questions of you that you... or someone will have to think about in the future. I guarantee, right? Because there are people, we get old, our memories start to fade. And I think this show is a way of dealing with that future.
Thanks, Ben. And I'm going to let you chime in here as well. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Sci-Fi Sci podcast. Up next, as Ben mentioned, we'll be discussing the short story collection by Tania Johnson. That collection is called Broken Fevers. Now, Ben, talk to them a little bit about their homework.
Yeah, so you don't have to read this book, right? Everything we cover, you don't have to read it. You don't have to buy it. We'll cover things. We'll cover the themes from it. But if you like it, go ahead and buy it. This is a very short story collection. It's like 120 pages.
Ooh, Pages are people from... Yeah.
So
Pages.
We'll be discussing lots of things, both related to the book, related to Queen of the Pussy, lots of different things.
And y'all wish Ben luck with his tooth extraction.
Oh, yeah.
You know he don't be brushing his teeth right. We love him. Bye, y'all.